Hi everyone. This video will be talking about the subboard committee, what is the member of the subboard committee and what is the type of the subboard committee. So this video will be focusing about the audit committee. So what are the audit committee do? So basically the audit committee, the best practices is that it should consist of all of its members as an independent non-executive director INED. The purpose of this is closely linked to the work they have done, their responsibility. However, the normal members of the audit committee normally will trace for all the IND. For smaller company, it may be two. So, what is the responsibility of a non-executive director in the audit committee, IND? So the first thing, normally they will be overseeing the appointment of the external auditor, which will be involving in the auditing the financial statement annually. So the second thing will be act as an impartial body for external auditor and internal auditor to consult them. Because of their impartiality, the external auditor are more likely to raise their concerns and counter during their work of the annual audit, as well as the internal auditor found any deficiency in the internal control system, they are more likely to highlight it to the management, to highlight it to the audit committee. And the third thing, because of the highest authority and the independent, they will be overseeing the whistleblowing arrangement. The whistleblowing arrangement is allowing any person within the company, no matter you are a junior or a senior, in finding out any malpractices by any members of within the company, especially of those of the top management, you can raise it to the audit committee. So the audit committee able to take the necessary corrective actions and preventive before the particular fraud action have been perpetrated within the company. And in the absence of the risk management committee, the audit committee will be also sitting on the assuming the role, it's not sitting, it's assuming the role of the risk management committee in helping the management to identify the risk, assessing, managing, and also constantly monitoring, reporting to the management any risks that have been found. So these are basically general. However, there is more specific role of the audit committee in which they oversee two departments. The first thing is the internal audit functions and the external audit function. So we start out with the internal audit function. The audit committee will be overseeing the effectiveness of the internal audit function if there is present within the company. They will be constantly monitoring the internal audit function, whether they are executing their tasks in accordance to their mandate given. The first thing, if there is no presence of the internal auditor, they may be considered annually whether there is a need to establish them within the company. That is the first thing. Another thing, it will be involving in meeting with the chief internal auditor at least once a year without the presence of the external party, for example the management. Why? Because so that the chief internal auditor are more willing to review all the things that are found out within the company, so that the audit committee will know about it. So audit committee will be also involved in appointing and removing the chief internal auditor, and also reviewing what is the annual internal audit plan, what is the area to be audited, what is the time will be spent, and what is the particular date. They will all be reviewing all this. So as well as reviewing the responsiveness of the recommendation made by the internal auditor, to what extent that the management will act upon those recommendations, they need to review that also. So these are basically the work done by the audit committee in relation to the internal audit. Whereas the external audit is a little bit different. They will be approving the term of the engagement, the contract with the external auditor. They will see whether the particular fees that have been charged by the external auditor, whether there is any lowballing, whether the particular fee will still enable the particular work, the annual audit, to be carried out effectively. The lowballing in this case is the audit firm deliberately quoting a very low fees in order to exchange the future contract, the future contract of non-audit services with the client. So, and as well as misleading the level of work will be done by the particular in the external audit work. So that's called the lowballing. So the second thing they will be reviewing is the materiality level. the materiality level is ensure that the materiality level set by the external auditor is neither too high or too low, because if too high, then will resulting that overlooking a lot of area within the audit, resulting that the opinion issue is actually not appropriate, and supposed to be issuing a qualified report but it end up issuing an unqualified report. That's the first thing. If there is that one is just now we talk about is the overstatement of the material. If understatement of the materiality level, it will result that the over auditing. Why? Because it's too much auditing, resulting in the increase of the audit fees. And besides that, it will review the two documents. The first thing is the auditor sent to the management. It's called the management letter, in which you highlight all these things within all these things that they found, what is the control weaknesses within all these recommendations, to review whether the management have taken any action or acting on all the recommendations. As well as the second document is the management representation to the auditor, to review any non-standardized issue within the document. Because all these things are the management representation about all this evidence that the auditor cannot obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence about. So besides that, at the end of the audit, the auditor will be discussing any control weaknesses, any significant problem that they encounter during the audit, so that they will discussing how to solve them, whether need to make any adjustment. At the same time, they need to see whether the auditor have meet the audit plan. On top of that, the audit committee also need to get a feedback from the key personnel that have been working together, for example the finance director working together with the external auditor, whether their level of work is satisfactory, in order to consider whether to continue appointing them in the next year. So these are basically the internal auditor and external auditor work associated with the audit committee. So this is all for the audit committee. Thank you so much. See you again.